Okay, hi friends. Hi. If you're watching the video of this, then you will see it is not Jade in official podcast mode in the official podcast studio yet. This is your very informal introduction into what is about to be a very high production and well-researched episode. If you'd rather skip this scrappy little disclaimer, then feel free to skip further into the episode and you can dig into the neuroscience of nervous system regulation and how to live an authentic life and why casual magic means so much to me. I recorded today's episode about 6 weeks ago and I actually had no idea if the podcast was even going to continue. If you listened to season 1, then you would know I've taken a bit of a break. I said the break would be 2 months. Here we are. It's been about 5 months, let's be real. And to be completely honest with you, I don't make any money from this podcast. In fact, I have just actively lost a lot of money from making it, and that's okay. I always knew that would be the case. Like, you don't do a podcast for money. Like, this is a labor of love, and I'm just so passionate about spreading the message of what it means to live a good life and finding beauty in the mundane every day. And as someone who was a high achiever and really thought that all my sense of self-worth, all the happiness that I could attain was linked to achievement, I'm so passionate about helping young people realize what actually brings you fulfillment in life and bringing on the guests and experts who can help shape our perception of what it means to live a good life. So I'm still figuring out how to make it at least break even. But I also realized that there are a lot of things about season 1 that I didn't love. It felt quite sterile, like the studio setup. I kind of knew that I wanted to experiment with things this season. I always thought that I would need a studio in London in order for it to be accessible enough for guests to come, particularly high caliber guests who are on a book tour. Maybe they're from the US, maybe they're in the UK literally just for 2 days. I thought there's no way that they would travel to Brighton or travel anywhere else. But I've realised it's really important to me, the tone and energy of the set and the people in the room. And basically this season I want to experiment. Today's episode that you're about to see was shot in a studio in London, but I'm also going to be shooting at home, and I've also found what I think is going to be my absolute dream place to have conversations, which is like in the middle of the woods, and it's like in this big yurt teepee, and I just can't wait for you guys to see it. So stay tuned, because many amazing things are coming, and I'm really trying to come back to what is the mission of this podcast? How can I amplify incredible messages and incredible conversations? And I would love for you guys to comment down below any guests that you would love to see this season. Like, I really value your opinions, and I want to go out and find the wisdom that you seek. If you haven't already, I dare you to click the subscribe button, leave a little review, and I promise that I will do my absolute best to find the most incredible guests that will enrich our lives with their wisdom. Okay, that's enough of me yapping. I really love today's episode. I love what I share about the neuroscience of nervous system regulation, and it's really changed my perception on how to live an authentic life and why casual magic matters and why it's hard for so many of us to find beauty in the little things every day because our nervous system isn't prepped for it. I really hope it resonates with you. Bye! Welcome to Finding Your Casual Magic. This is the series where we find beauty in every day by retraining our minds to focus on what is casually magic. Why? We all look forward to the 1% of days in our lives that are extraordinary, like the wedding, the birthday, the job promotion. But in reality, 99% of days in our lives are just ordinary. And wouldn't it be sad if we only allowed ourselves to feel joy 1% of the time? Hi, hello, my name is Jade, and welcome to the first episode of season 2. I genuinely can't tell you how happy it makes me to be back on this sofa, to have my little tea, to be in the studio again, to spill all my secrets. How are you guys feeling today? Are you feeling cozy? What's been happening? How is your heart feeling today? If you listen to season 1, then you would know that this is the place we discuss all things finding gratitude for the mundane every day. How can we learn to find joy right now rather than waiting for it in some undefined place in the future. So no matter what is happening in your world or the external world around you, I really hope this podcast inspires you to find joy today. So in today's episode, we're going to dig into all the juicy little details about season 2, some of the changes that are going to happen compared to season 1. I also just want to have a little catch up with you guys. Some of you have sent me questions on Instagram, and yeah, I'm just kind of going to tell you what's been happening in my life. Then we're going to dig into one of my favorite neuroscience theories. It's called polyvagal theory. Don't know if you ever heard of it, but it will genuinely change your perspective on how finding gratitude in your everyday can transform your life, transform your perspective, and most importantly, help you be the most authentic version of yourself every single day. But the first change of season 2 is that I actually want to start every episode by listening to one of your casual magics of the week. This is my first time listening to it, just like you guys. Let's have a listen. Okay, today's casual magic is from Sophia.
Hello, Jade! My casual magic of today was that after my gym session, I was pretty happy, as everybody is after a sports session. And I got on the elevator, I was singing because there was nobody else with me in the elevator. I was singing pretty loudly. And then when the doors opened, there were a couple waiting for the elevator. And I was like, oh my God, like, because I was singing pretty loudly and normally you'd be embarrassed. But the girl just started like singing and saying just like, yeah, like that. And I was like, hey, yeah. And it's just a funny moment because something that is normally considered cringe was just a wholesome moment with a stranger.
Oh, I love that. Do you know what? Why do I feel like this is not happening in England? I feel like if I was singing in public, it would be so hard to get another random like British person to be singing with me. This is so cute. Where are you living? Because I want to be there. I want to be in a world where everyone is just randomly singing with me. Thank you for sharing that moment of casual magic. That's so cute. If you guys this week, if you find any little cute moment, something that makes you smile, send it in and I would love to feature it next week. And just like in season 1, I want to start every episode of season 2 with a small moment to ground ourselves. So I start every episode with a meditation. If you've never meditated before, don't worry, it's not scary. There's no pressure to have a life epiphany. If you're currently cycling or if you're in public, then don't worry, there's no pressure. You can kind of just take a moment to appreciate your surroundings, maybe check in with your senses. Okay, I dare you guys not to scroll. I dare you to put on Do Not Disturb. I hope in the next minute you'll feel lighter, clearer, and ready to dive into today's episode. Take a second to notice where you are in space. Are you in a room? If so, how big is the room? Are you outside? What can you see? And if you feel comfortable to do so, gently close your eyes. Start to become aware of your breath, going in and out of the body. And maybe notice where you can feel the experience of breathing in your body. Maybe noticing the rise of your chest and belly at the inhale and fall on the exhale. Imagine yourself rooting down into the ground, remembering that whatever changes may come, you are always rooted in your authentic self. Notice if you're carrying tension anywhere in your body. If you can, try to allow that tension to release as you exhale. Your authentic self is like the rhythm of your breath. It may shift, but it remains constant. We're going to take one final big breath in through the nose and release it through the mouth. So when you're ready, you can clear out the air from your lungs. And let's take a big inhale through your nose. Make it the deepest breath you've taken all day. And then let it go through the mouth. Welcome to the episode! Also feel free to make yourself a little tea or a little herbal drink. I've got my little peppermint tea. Okay, so season 2, what's the plan? What's changing? At the end of season 1, I put out a survey, and guys, I was genuinely amazed because over 1,000 of you did this survey, but you didn't just complete it. The average completion time was 15 minutes. Like, so many of you poured your hearts into your responses. You were writing essays about what you loved about the episodes, things maybe that you wanted to see differently. And I'm just so grateful for the energy that you put into this podcast, and it's provided so much inspiration for season 2. Guys, it is my mission to make season 2 even better than season 1. We are leveling up this season. Last season, we already had some incredible guests. We had everyone from poets to YouTubers, authors, relationship experts, ex-finance bros who have become incredible mindful life coaches. But this season, I want to keep hearing from you. If there is a guest that you would love me to interview, please feel free to send me a DM on Instagram or at Casual Magic Podcast. Based on your feedback, we are shaking up the structure of season 2. So every episode will start with a meditation, but it's going to be slightly adapted every week so that you can try out new mindfulness techniques and keep improving this habit of meditation, learning how to ground yourself in new ways. And then at the end of every single episode, there's going to be a mindfulness journal prompt based exactly on the theme of that episode, so that whatever I'm discussing, you can then make it your own by applying it to your life. And I'm very excited about this bit because it's a bit of a change. So every 4th episode is actually going to be an at-home cozy reflection episode. So there's going to be 3 episodes in studio. I'm going to be bringing on these incredible guests. I'm going to be doing solo episodes. But then every 4th episode, I'm going to take a moment to tell you guys about the behind the scenes, you know, what's been happening when I'm meeting these incredible guests, and how am I applying the learnings into my life, what things really stuck to me from these episodes. And maybe listening to that cozy at home episode will inspire you to re-listen to episodes in a whole new context. And so some of you guys have sent me questions on Instagram, and I'm going to keep your names anonymous, but I just want to answer them. A few little questions about how life is going. So someone asked, I love this question, how is your heart right now? Isn't that such a cute question? How is my heart right now? If I'm honest, my heart has been struggling. The last 2 months have been very emotional. I have been unpacking some very heavy things in therapy, and I've kind of been avoiding looking at them for a lot of my life, and I felt like this is the year where I have the time and the headspace and the willingness to go there. And I found a wonderful therapist in Brighton at the end of last year and felt like I trusted her enough to go into these things. But yeah, it's honestly, it's been a lot. Like the last month especially, I think I've cried every single day, and it can often be very unpredictable when the tears come. And my therapist has described it as a somatic release. So literally like stored things in my body from the past, just kind of like releasing in unexpected moments. Like it doesn't even necessarily have to be a trigger. I can just sometimes cry, and I'm doing my best in this season of life to allow the tears to come, to not suppress these feelings, because I know that it's part of the healing process. But yeah, my heart feels very tender and sensitive, and I know that that is okay, and that means I have a strong heart, because feeling your emotions is a strong thing to do. Someone else asked, hi Jade, firstly I can't wait for season 2 of the podcast, yay! I'd love to know how you're finding your life in Brighton. So if you guys didn't know, I moved to Brighton in September of last year. I moved from London. I didn't really love London. So for me, Brighton was like this true fresh start. Like I found London quite an oppressive place to live, like just so busy, so hustling all the time, like getting on the tube every day. Just like the energy of it was just not very me. Like I grew up in the countryside, and I love Brighton because I live like 15 minutes away from the sea. I can go and look at the horizon. If I'm having a stressful day, I can go and look out, and just looking out this like gorgeous giant sea in front of me gives me so much perspective and makes me feel insignificant in the best way. I think sometimes when you're in London, your problems feel so big, your worries feel so big, because you can't ever see more than like 100 meters in front of you. But when you're looking out at this vast ocean, I'm like, oh, like it doesn't matter. Like my stresses aren't actually that bad. Someone said to me recently, never trust an inside thought. Like if you are inside a room, don't trust your thoughts as much as when you are outside. And my outside experience in Brighton has just been really lovely recently. So yeah, love the nature. But in my first few months of living in Brighton, I didn't really have many friends. I didn't really have much community. So I was a lonely girl and would try to go to events and meet people, but I think it's always a slow process to find your like-minded people in a new place. And I'm so happy to say that now I do feel so much more rooted there. I feel like I have my people, and that just improves my daily life so much. So yeah, Brighton is my place. I really love it. I love that I have a little garden. I love that I live in a literally purple house. Don't know if you've seen my Instagram, but everything in my living room is purple. Like my rug, my things on the wall, my sofa is purple. I'm living my childhood dreams. Someone else asked, what is making you happy right now? Are there any hobbies that you love? Such a cute question. Okay, so I started this new hobby called ecstatic dance. Have you heard of it? Ecstatic dance is life-changing. I think the concept absolutely terrifies people. Whenever I tell people what ecstatic dance is, they're like, I would never do that. You basically go into a room with like 100 people, and there's a DJ, and they'll start playing beats, and then the beats will slowly like rise or get faster. They'll reach a crescendo about an hour in. And the idea is you just have to move your body in whatever way you feel called to in order to kind of express the music and your feelings through your body. So, you know, that day, if you're feeling kind of sad, you can move in like a really like hunched inward way. If you're feeling really like elated and happy and the music is getting faster, you can like jump around. But I've found it so liberating and freeing to not care what anyone is thinking, because you realize that no one is looking at you. Like you are the only one looking at yourself. There's this whole idea of the spotlight effect, where you just notice all of your own movements so much more than everyone else in the room, because everyone else is thinking about themselves. So that has been very freeing. And also just yoga, mindful practices. Yeah, I love my mindful hobbies. Also, I hope that can inspire someone to go outside of their comfort zone, because the thought of ecstatic dance a year ago terrified me, but now I love it. Okay, 2 more questions. Someone asked, what have you been struggling with recently? Many things, because that is life. But actually one of the things I've been struggling with the most is I'm in a long distance relationship, and long distance relationships are very hard. They're very hard. Don't know if you've been in one before, but it's a challenge. Yeah, just like all sorts of things, like managing time zones, and you're like calling each other, but you're in like very different places in your day. And so energy wise, it's like it can be hard to feel connected, because one of you is cozy and like in your evening, whereas the other one is in the middle of the day, middle of the work day. So that's been really hard, and I think I've learned a lot about myself and how I can meet my own needs when my partner maybe can't meet them because of the restraints of distance. Yeah. If any of you have advice for long distance relationships, feel free to send them to me. Oh, this one's so cute. What is something casually magic that you're grateful for literally right now, like as you're recording this? Actually, I think it's this plant. I don't know if you've noticed, guys, this is a new plant. I love it. I love devil's ivy because I have 2 of them in my bedroom, and they're the only plant that have survived like years with me because they're almost unkillable, and I've killed like every other plant in my life. So devil's ivy just has a special place in my heart, and to have one, yeah, in the Casual Magic set, it's just Casual Magic. I love it. I love how it like drapes across the back. It's very cute. And also, if you can't see the video right now, that was your moment. That was your inspiration to go look at the video because she's so cute. During the break between season 1 and season 2, I've been thinking a lot about why this matters to me. Why does Casual Magic matter to me? You know, why do I care so much about noticing the way that the light is coming into the room, or feeling gratitude for a stranger holding the door open for me? Like, why do I want people to pay attention to these little moments so much? And that's when I realised it's because it anchors us. They can literally bring us back to ourselves when we are distracted by a busy world of technology and stress. Like, literally taking a moment to notice something casually magic in your life right now can be the difference between running along on autopilot versus pausing, taking a step back, realizing what matters to you, and then acting from a place of patience, compassion, and gratitude. They create a bridge between our busy minds and physical presence. And as it turns out, there is actually a very compelling neuroscience theory to prove why this habit of casual magic, of noticing the little joys, is so transformative for your life. And as someone who studied cognitive science, I am so passionate about learning about the brain and also translating that scientific knowledge to more people so that we can all live happier, healthier lives. Guys, I can't wait to share this with you. Let's talk about the neuroscience of polyvagal theory. Today, I want to take you on a journey of understanding how where your nervous system is right now affects your ability to see casual magic in your life. We can intentionally use these moments to regulate ourselves. Polyvagal theory might sound complex, but it's actually just a beautiful framework for understanding how the nervous system works. It was developed by a wonderful guy called Stephen Porges, and it basically explains how stress in our environment can influence the way that we walk through the world, the way that we feel, the way that we see things. And I promise that even understanding the basics of this can be genuinely life-changing. Okay, get ready for the neuroscience, friends. I want you to imagine a ladder with 3 rungs, and it has 3 main states based on which rung of the ladder that you're on. At the top of the ladder, you have our wonderful ventral vagal state. This is where you're feeling social, you're feeling connected, you're feeling inspired. This is the best state to connect with others, to learn new things. It's just you're feeling amazing. Your nervous system is in a great receptive state. This is where casual magic happens. Up here, ventral vagal state, you're feeling the gratitude. And in the middle, you have your sympathetic nervous system. This is what you might have heard being discussed as your fight or flight response. This is where, you're feeling stressed, you're a bit overwhelmed, it's kind of hard to learn in this state, it's hard to connect to people in this state. In this state, you might be rushing, you're fighting to complete your deadlines, you're power walking down the road to get to work as quick as possible. You're in fight or flight. And then you have the bottom rung of the ladder, which is your dorsal vagal state. This is the worst. The bottom rung of the ladder, guys, this is where you shut down, you're feeling numb, your entire body is just like, I am not in a state to do anything. I'm not in a state to connect to anyone, to learn anything. So this bottom rung of the ladder, you might have also heard being called your freeze response. You literally have no choice but to freeze up. You shut down. So obviously we all want to be at the top rung of that ladder, right? We want to be in this wonderful ventral vagal state. We want to feel connected. We want to feel social. We want to feel relaxed. We want to feel grateful for our lives. And so many good things happen when our nervous system is regulated onto that top rung. But here's the thing. Unfortunately, in our modern world, most of us are stuck on the middle rung, the sympathetic nervous system response. 80% of the time, we are bombarded with notifications, the endless scroll, just stuff that makes us feel stressed, that makes us feel in this fight or flight response. And it can be activated by something as simple as clicking onto Instagram, going on Reels, and seeing a piece of content that makes you compare yourself to someone, that makes you feel like you're not enough. And when you're in this sympathetic nervous system state, it's very hard to notice the beauty around you. It's very hard to feel hopeful and optimistic about your life. It's very hard to have the patience to connect with people in your life deeply. Everything about your nervous system makes life tighten. I remember during my second year of university, I was so stressed by all my deadlines that I literally couldn't even recognize the beauty of the library buildings that I was in. Like there were these grand buildings in Seoul, but I remember I couldn't focus on them because I was so stressed. Like I would just roll out of bed, I'd walk to the library, and more like I'd power walk, I'd half run to the library, get in there, go down the corridor, find my little place in the corner, and I would just work the whole day. I would miss out on all this gorgeous architecture because I was only thinking about my deadlines. The potential for beauty and awe was all around me, but my nervous system wasn't in a state to recognize it. I was in my sympathetic nervous system, the middle rung of the ladder. And this is why casual magic matters. It is not just a nice to have. It is literally a way to take your nervous system up that rung on the ladder into this wonderful ventral vagal state where you are so much more receptive to all the incredible things that can happen in your life. You're more connected to the people around you, more connected to yourself. You learn better. We all want to be on that top rung, and literally just taking a moment to pause, to notice your breath, to find something beautiful right now. That moment of pausing is enough to shift you out of the sympathetic nervous system and onto that more connected plane. Casual magic scientifically brings us to a state where we are more connected to ourselves, to others, and to the world around us. So how can we do this? How can we train ourselves to move from stress to safety? To bridge this gap between disconnection and presence, there's this idea called anchoring. You can literally anchor your internal state to some kind of external stimuli around you. To help make this more concrete, I actually have a brief visualization exercise for you, and I really believe that if you take the time to do this, you will understand anchoring. You will understand how finding these moments of casual magic can shift your entire nervous system. So if you're feeling like it, if you're in a place to do so, then I dare you to sit down, find a little quiet moment for yourself where you can close your eyes, but don't worry if you're on the move or commuting. So if you're ready and feeling it, then softly close your eyes. Think about a place where you feel completely safe and at ease. Maybe it's a specific room in your home or a spot in nature, or even a memory of being held by someone that you trust. Take a moment to really see it. Feel that moment. Hear the sounds associated with this place. Notice how your body responds as you bring this image to mind. Perhaps your shoulders drop a little. Maybe your breath deepens. Pay attention to the sensations of safety in your body. Now imagine that you could condense all those feelings of this place into a physical gesture. Maybe it's placing your hand over your heart, or gently touching your fingertips together, or simply taking a big conscious breath. This small gesture becomes your anchor, your bridge back to this feeling of safety. Whenever you want to go back to that place, you can just do this gesture and remember that moment again. When you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. You have just created a neuroassociation between a physical gesture and your ventral vagal state, the top rung of that ladder. If you practice this little visualization exercise often, it will become such a second nature, powerful tool that you can use anytime in your life that you're feeling a little bit stressed. You just take a moment to pause, to do your physical gesture, and to go back to that place of safety. You can shift yourself into a more regulated nervous system, and with it, appreciate all the amazing things in your life. And the beauty is, when we're in that ventral vagal state, that top state, right, top rung of the ladder, the social, connected, wonderful state, we are so much more receptive to noticing the beauty around us. We notice the glimmers, we notice the casual magic. And so it creates this wonderful feedback loop where you notice casual magic, it makes you more regulated into your ventral vagal state. And from that state, you notice more casual magic, which again regulates you even more. And the longer that we're able to stay in that ventral vagal state, the longer that we are connected to our most authentic self. And the longer that you're staying in that state of authenticity, God, the more amazing things that you're going to be able to create, right? You're speaking your truth, you're connecting to people in an authentic manner. If you're doing any kind of creative exercise, your authenticity is shining through. So let's explore this dimension even more, about how finding casual magic relates to being the most authentic version of ourselves. So when we're in that middle rung of the ladder, we're going back, right, the sympathetic state, sympathetic nervous system state. We don't want to be there, fight or flight, life is stressful. When we're on that middle rung of the ladder, it's so easy to make decisions that aren't from our authentic self. They are just reactive to the things around us. So maybe we feel a sense of comparison to the people around us, so we emulate them. We're making decisions that come from anxiety and fear rather than from our core values. Anchoring yourself in the present allows you to be quiet enough to hear that inner voice, for that inner voice of your authenticity to shine through. We're developing something called inner attunement, the ability to recognize what truly resonates with us beyond all the shoulds and expectations. When I was building my YouTube channel, there were some moments where I felt a lot of pressure to make content that performed well, rather than content that was meaningful or authentic. If any of you are YouTubers, you would know the fear that comes when you log onto your analytics page and YouTube will compare your last video to your last 10 videos. So it will rank them. It will say, oh, Jade, your last video performed 10 out of 10. It was the 10th worst of all the recent videos that you've made. And merely seeing that analytics page can shift me right into this sympathetic nervous system where I'm going into fight or flight, I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling anxious, and comparing my engagement rate to past videos instantly robbed me of joy. And it tempted me to divert away from my authenticity and to instead chase things that had worked in the past that I knew would get views. Rather than exploring new passions, I was tempted to just keep making study videos because I knew it worked. I remember one day I went to a yoga class, and when I was in this yoga class and I had slowed my breath for long enough, I was in my heart space for long enough, a realization washed over me. Every day that I tried to mold myself into my past self, I rob myself of who I am right now. And what a waste that is, to never fully realize who I am and who I'm becoming. But it really took that slow moment of presence to have that realization. This is the power of mindfulness and casual magic. It is a way back to ourselves. We often think we need to do more in order to have answers, but I truly believe we need to do less. It's actually when we allow time and space for everything to settle that we start to hear that quiet inner voice pointing us in the right direction. When we practice noticing all the little things in our days every single day that bring us joy, we are also practicing listening to ourselves. What lights me up? What right now can I be grateful for? You're developing the skill of listening to your authentic self. And from this place of inner connection, you then start to walk through the world with more authenticity. Okay, so let's bring all these threads together. Polyvagal theory is an amazing neuroscience theory to explain why, when we're stressed, our world seems to narrow. Right? It's so much harder to feel joy, to feel connected to others. Whereas when we slow down, when we start to notice all the beauty in our lives, the world seems expansive, it opens. Anchoring techniques are one of the best ways that we can regulate ourselves onto the top rung of that ladder. And these practices of association and regulation help us connect with our authentic selves because we slow down enough in order to hear our inner voice shining through. Guys, this season, we're going to keep exploring these ideas. We're going to keep exploring casual magic from a neuroscience perspective. We're going to look at it through so many different experiences of life based on the lived experiences of our guests. So, for example, one of our guests had an undiagnosed medical condition for 20 years and was in and out of hospitals her whole life. And for her, casual magic was literally her only source of hope and resilience. You know, just being able to romanticize that first sip of tea in the morning, that got her through the days where she didn't know if she would still make it because no one knew what her condition was. We're going to talk to other guests about their creative process and how this habit of slowing down in casual magic is the reason that they can create things that move the world. Before we wrap up this episode, I have a little challenge for you. I want you to take one everyday activity in your life. It can be washing the dishes, it can be making your morning coffee, and I want you to bring all your presence to that activity. Rather than, like thinking about something that you've got to do later that day, or you're on the phone to someone, or maybe even you're listening to a podcast, like I dare you to switch everything off just for the duration of that task and to pay attention to your sensations, the feeling of the breath in your body, and to just notice how it enriches that experience in a new way. And maybe while you're doing that activity, you can even mentally say to yourself, this is casual magic. This moment right here, right now, is casually magic. In a world that is constantly telling us that the only meaningful things come from huge achievements, it is truly revolutionary for you to be finding joy in small moments. And your body knows it too. The little things are truly magic. So welcome to season 2, everyone. It's just such a joy that you're here. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for all your lovely comments and DMs. It genuinely means the world. This community just fills me with hope for humanity. My casual magic this week is something really exciting happened in my little brother's life, and I'm the first person that he called, which I think is so cute. Like, I just got this random call from my brother. He lives a very busy life. Sometimes he doesn't pick up my calls, but I just thought it was so heartwarming that out of all the people he could choose to tell, he chose to tell me first. And finally, if you want to, you can grab a journal, you can grab your notes app, and I'm just going to present you with the final question that you can use to really make sure that this episode goes deep into your head, that you are able to take it away into your life. This week, I want to ask you, what does authenticity feel like in my body? Can you recall a moment where you felt deeply aligned with who you are? How did that show up for you physically? Was it a sense of lightness, calm, excitement? Thank you guys so much for listening. If no one has told you today, I just want to remind you that you are enough. Exactly as you are enough today. You are enough on the path to all of your dreams, and it is an honour that you've chosen to spend today with me. I can't wait for the rest of the season. It's going to be amazing. I'm sending you so much love, and stay tuned and stay magical.